Greetings and welcome to Midweek Devotions with Mairangi and Castor-based Presbyterian Church. Our minister Tokoro Joseph is currently on study leave, but he had built up quite a following with these midweek devotions, and our parish council has decided to keep these sessions going during the time of his absence. Consequently, you'll meet up with some different speakers. I'm Stuart Milne, and for today's devotions, I'd like to pick a text from one of my favourite parables. To me, the way that Jesus taught through parables was absolutely magic. These stories, which were designed to provide messages of the values to live by, are as relevant today as they were more than 2,000 years ago. And the parable I have chosen to refer to today is the parable of the prodigal son, or as I prefer to call it, the parable of the lost child, because it surely is gender neutral. This parable has several lessons and much valuable teaching in it. The particular value that I want to refer to today is contained in verse 20 of Luke's Gospel, chapter 15. And I quote, "He was still a long way from home when his father saw him, and he ran, threw his arms around his son, and kissed him." For those of you who know the story, and certainly in my interpretation, I would have expected a degree of reluctance and hesitation on the part of the father when his wayward son was sighted, making his forlorn way home. After all, his younger son had demanded his share of inheritance, left home, leaving his father and older brother to do the work of the farm, and had blown that inheritance on what was described as riotous living. Surely the father should wait to hear whether his returning son was repentant, whether he acknowledged his faults and was prepared to knuckle down and do his share of work. After all, there was a lot to be forgiven for, and requiring a confession and apology and seeking some guarantees would seem to be a reasonable approach. Maybe also a consultation with the older son, who had been left to carry the can, to find out what conditions he thought should be imposed on his younger brother would be in order before accepting him back. But no, the father's forgiveness was unconditional, and the father actually ran to meet and greet his returning son. His joy bubbled over. What a strong message of love and forgiveness is contained in this parable. Let us pray. God, we know how difficult it is to forgive someone, particularly when we feel that a wrong has been done to ourselves. Please help us in our lives to be influenced by the teaching of your Son, Jesus Christ, with respect to forgiveness. It is so important. Amen. I do hope that you too can take the opportunity to consider and be influenced by the teaching of Jesus and the values contained in his teaching. Best wishes for the week ahead, and I hope you can find the time to join with us next week for our midweek devotions.